Give you a little chair.
No, so it doesn't. John's not. There's some going on.
Go ahead, please. Yes. All right, very good. Okay, we'll call this public safety meeting to order. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with Wisconsin section 19.83 and 19.84 in such form that will appraise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for discussion and action. Roll call at this time. We have just Jolene's. Jolene's going to be joining us within 10 minutes. At this time, we have any public comment from the, do we have anything online? Nobody. Anybody want to make any comment at this time? Seeing none, we will go on to, go ahead. Sorry.
I couldn't get it working the other day.
Push the button. I struggle with technology. Scott Effley, W159 N10514, Old Farm Road, obviously Germantown. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. Well, this is
Just turned off. I was going to, yeah, but nobody else, like, we never know. What? They just won't hear it on the internet. Maybe the battery's down, I don't know.
well, you said, okay.
No, the red light is on. You got to press real hard at the top, usually.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
My 3 minutes are up. No, I'm kidding. No,
All right.
can't even get started anyway, right? So I'm not going to reintroduce myself if that's okay. I know there's a lot on the, docket tonight. We're talking about various things. Of course, as I've stated before, my interest is always in public safety. That's where it starts, in my opinion. That's just me, my opinion. Public safety is where the village begins. Public safety is why I stay here, not why I came here initially, but I stay here because of the public safety excellence that we have. So my only question really for anyone, I'm not going to take a lot of time, is I see a budgeted amount for overtime, and obviously I see numbers that are quite bigger than that. And I know there's a reason for that, obviously. But the reason boils down to having more coverage in the police and fire areas. Okay, if you have tons of overtime, the reason is they don't have enough people to cover. That's why overtime is accumulated. That's very simple. I mean, it's simple math. So I just hope that this committee and the village board as a whole pays attention to this. And I know some people have reached out to me. I put some budget stuff out to people, or all the trustees, and I've gotten some nice responses. I appreciate it, but this obviously is a concern, is an issue. And my whole thing that I would ask is, if we're 280,000 over budget on fire, where is that money coming from? That's really the question that I'd like answered if possible. Thank you.
Anybody else this evening would like to make any comments? Okay. Go into approval of the minutes of October 3rd, please. Motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second.
And committee, you have any questions, comments, or anything? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? Motion passes. Just as an information situation, the fire department will not be reporting this evening as such. Chief had called me to tell me that he's been sick, and so he won't be here. So what we'll end up doing was we'll take his report next month and double it up along with the overtime that he would have offer for us. At this time, Police Department, please.
Thank you. I wanted to start by reading an email I received late last week. I think it does a real good example of kind of painting the relationship our officers have with the community. I'll try to get through this kind of quickly. Good evening, Chief Snow. I just wanted to take a moment to tell you about an experience this evening at Altbauer Park. I live directly across the street from the basketball courts and was gearing up to take my girls to go shoot some hoops. As we were walking over, I saw 4 young men playing on the court and a mother of a young child who was walking past. I'm unsure of the details of what was occurring in their encounter. However, when I arrived at the court, it was evidence that there was a very negative connotation to their discussion. As I arrived, the mother and child left and the boys were left playing on the court. She mentioned that the boys are being disrespectful and using foul language. My 7 and 9-year-old daughters and I continued to play basketball, and the 4 boys remained, and we did not have any negative interactions with them. Evidently, there was another call for service that led officers out to the park regarding a suspicious vehicle, and officers arrived for a dual call. This is when my encounter with 2 of the wonderful Germantown police began. I will apologize as I did not get both officers' names, or maybe even correct name. However, when I read on the badge as Officer Spitzner, that is Officer Spitzer, one of our newer officers that came over from the city of Milwaukee. And the second officer, I did not get his name, and I apologize about this, but he was a very tall, bald man, and that is Officer Block, one of our field training officers. The officers talked to me as well as to the 4 young boys to understand what occurred between them and the other woman. They were very positive in their interaction. They were very calm in their interaction and very understanding. After some discussion, the officers determined what occurred and shared some life lessons with the young men. They then found the opportunity to connect with these youth and have a very positive impact. The officers ended up playing a couple brief games of basketball. To their own dismay, Officer Spitzer called for a game of, wait for it, pig. He realized at the moment it left his lips. They played with not only with the boys, but also my daughters and I. We have a great time throwing a ton of air balls, but also some amazing half-court shots. In the end, while those boys may have acted inappropriately prior to my arrival, I do feel that the interaction that they had with these officers today likely shaped a very positive reflection of law enforcement. Before I left, I complimented these young men on the way they handled their interaction with the officers. They were honest and respectful to the officers, and in the end, everyone left the courts with a very positive feeling, except for those horrifically missed shots. If you could please recognize these 2 officers, I greatly appreciate it. I'm very appreciative of our Germantown Police Department. Please know anytime you drive past our home, we light wagon trail with a blue light across from Altbauer to let you know we have your back too. So I just thought that was a great email. I thought I would take the time to share it with you. The monthly.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, thanks. The monthly, one of the highlights, we had 10 felonies in September, and that's important because I wanted to just make everyone aware that a lot of times we don't discuss those felonies simply because they are either still under investigation, we're working with another jurisdiction that we can't share a lot of details, but suffice it to say, every month you will see that our officers are doing a number of felonies, whether they relate to retail theft or possession of a controlled substance, but they are very active in dealing with those issues. We will be recognizing Officer Darren Von Berge for an incident back in May where I'll just briefly summarize. He responded to Ellen's home after being assigned a theft of prescription narcotics complaint. During the investigation, he discovered an employee was stealing a large amount of prescription narcotics from the residents of Ellen's. And over the next 2 weeks, he continued to work with the owner of Ellen's home, obtaining evidence and documentation of medications taken and victims impacted by this crime. This is especially important because the officer investigated a theft that was targeting members of a very vulnerable part of our population. So we certainly commend him on those actions. He was able to refer charges up to the district attorney and get charges in that case. Lastly, I will share what I'm sure you all know, and that is the homicide we're investigating in Germantown. Not much I can share at this point, other than our officers. Our detective bureau, since the time that it was reported, have been working tirelessly on this and will continue to do that until they have a resolution.
Thank you in both areas, Chief.
Can I ask a question? Is it just Germantown Police that is on that homicide investigation, or is there, is Washington County investigating as well?
They assisted on that night. Since then, it's been pretty much Germantown.
Okay.
What we told the media was that it appears that it was targeted. So that we're no more than at any other time is kind of what we're telling people.
Do you have any other questions for the chief in regard to the monthly report? As the committee is going over the report, again, I will say, Chief, thank you for bringing these forth to the committee in regard to letters that you received from the public, and then whatever else you notice during the month or whatever in regard to actual your personnel per se. It's good for this committee, and it's good for the people attending, and then also for people who may be listening also. Any members, anything else in regard to the committee reports? Go ahead, please.
Okay. I just had a quick question on the calls for service. You've got SC, which is school check. Is that by the SRO or?
The school checks would be by officers. We require officers to stop out at these schools before the start of the school day and at the end of the school day, just to increase that officer presence. They also do random walkthroughs at the different schools in addition to what our SROs are doing, especially schools down Lake County line where we don't have an SRO assigned.
Oh, good to know. Thank you.
Anybody else, committee members? Seeing none, I'll repeat myself that the fire chief will not be here this evening as such. He's called in sick, and so next month he'll give his report that he would have given this evening, and then for 2 months worth. And we also talked about in regard to the overtime, he'll also be giving the report in regard to that. At this time, again, I'm jumping ahead in regard to this as such. Did you have any none for the police department for updates? I'll let you give the overtime report at the end under new business, Chief. At this time, we have new business. A, request from residents to investigate Hawthorne Drive for a stop sign intersection at Hawthorne and Juniper. And I think you asked for that at the end of the last meeting, sir. If you want to step forward. And Brian, does the mic work now? Okay. And just kind of
How's that? All right.
wonderful.
All right. Thomas Williams, North 109, West 16882, Hawthorne Drive here in Germantown. I'm here to talk about the traffic and speed on Germantown Drive. On. First, I haven't been here for long. On Hawthorne Drive. The way that private cars, the city plows, and the police cars go through Hawthorne Drive constantly. But basically the private cars, when I'm at the end of the driveway and wave my hands, and the ones that turn around and give every excuse available, how long has that stop sign been there? Sun was in my eyes. It was raining. It was snowing. I didn't see it. And then there's ones that go up Juniper, left turn off of Hawthorne going up. One's coming down off of Juniper, right-hand turn. There's not much we can really do about that. I mean, but I was wondering, since they repaved the roads, is there any way we could get the stop sign lines paid in back down? Maybe the speed board back on the street or something? Possibly lights around the signs that flash? Maybe painted stop ahead? I mean, maybe that'll draw the attention, like I said, it isn't just the private cars that are irritating. Last winter, city plow goes right through. If he wants to go through at 5 in the morning, great. 10 in the morning when I'm cleaning my driveway, I think he should have to stop. Just the other day, I understand this is considered, what do they say, a command decision, but Saturday, October 29th, 5:55 PM, 3 squads, they didn't stop, but the lights and sirens were going, but they screamed down the street. I don't know where they're going, probably just Walmart for a shoplifter. I mean, I don't know how many other local municipalities, police departments go through a local subdivision at that rate of speed. Menominee Falls is right on Pilgrim Road. I don't think they go screaming behind there. Elm Grove, I think they're somewhere on Watertown Plank Road. I don't know if there's anywhere they might have to go through to get to any major road or anything. Possibly Wauwatosa going up 116th Street there maybe to get over to Mayfair for their problems, but I'm just wondering if we could slow it down. I went through Wauwatosa the other day on Honey Parkway, I think over towards Bluemont, and they had kind of speed humps. Is there any possibly, not the speed bumps, but they're actually hills a little bit that might stretch out that far? Is that any, I'm sure not, because if the police have to go down there, I mean, I don't know when we're going to get a new police department. That could be when I'm in the ground and gone by the time they get a new one, and we won't have to put up with the if you want to call it, the right of way or something, that our road gets plowed first, and that's because police can go. But I never see anything that they go screaming down, oh, there was a gun involved. Oh, there was a shooting at Walmart. Oh, there was something else bad at Fleet Farm. But I mean, it's gotten a lot better, but still, 5:55 at night. I mean, we're probably a self-insured village. I'd hate to see my tax money go because somebody gets hurt because we have police that have to scream down our street. I mean, like I said, I got nothing wrong. 3 years ago, I was the guy that chased in the hearse some guy running around, stopped through, didn't stop coming in. I chased him down, ended up at the police station, and they treated me fine. I'm not trying to get on the police department or anything. It's just, we put up with it 30 years, and you hear the same thing. I mean, and it's basically cars that are coming from east to west going out of the subdivision or anything. So I'm just wondering if we get our lines painted, get that something done as a thing every year. A flashlight, maybe the ones that go around there. Let the city plows know that, hey, that's a subdivision. You guys got to kind of pay attention. I mean, I know a lot of these guys might be new. Hell, it's not their street. They don't care. I mean, they don't have to put up with it. They've got City of Milwaukee plows or wherever village they live from. But I'm just wondering if we could see what we can do. I mean, there's nothing we're going to do about the local people on the block, but what about the ones coming on the other side of Western? The ones coming up Western from the south there that have to use our way going out. I mean, they aren't my neighbors. I mean, so that's about all I got to say. If we can get something to maybe draw a little more attention that they slow down. I mean, I hear they say, well, drive slow yourself. Well, then they're going to try to pass you on the inside. Then they'll pass you on the outside. It's just, there's 6 houses from Western to Juniper on our side, 5 on the other side. And you can kind of hear them. Gee, their brakes must really go through a lot. I mean, that's all I got to say. If we can just kind of see what we can do with slower our traffic down.
Thanks for,
It's a Peter Street.
thanks for elaborating that. I guess I would mention to the committee that I will talk to the Director of Public Works and talk to him in regard to the 3 different areas that you talked about, putting a sign there, other signs, and then in regard to the wintertime plows and that. Chief, did you want to make any comment in regard to the police officers?
This has been brought up years and years and years. Our officers know that they're required to operate with due regard. If they're going to Walmart or Fleet Farm, there's many times where they're going there because it's a gun call. Or someone's stealing ammunition, and we know someone stealing ammunition typically oftentimes has an illegal firearm with them. So they are going to serious calls, and they are required to operate with due regard as they're going through. I don't know of an incident where one of our squads was involved in a crash at that intersection or even at Hawthorne on Division, which suggests that they are operating with due regard. Will they be going faster than typical traffic? I'm sure they are. I have no doubt of that. We will go through the process of reminding them of the concerns, but again, this issue has been brought up a number of times.
Thank you, Chief. Hope that maybe answers maybe what you're not looking for, but at least in regards from the police department, from the chief.
Like I said, how are we supposed to know if gun involved or anything? Because all you see on the paper is shoplifting call Walmart, 5:55 Tuesday. Shoplifting call, 5:55 Wednesday. That's all you see in the paper. It's never listed as a call with a gun involved or weapon involved, if you want to call it that. We're just seeing shoplifting call. So somebody's walking out with a TV is all we're thinking. I understand there probably is guns involved and everything, but it's, I understand. I mean, I'm not trying to be the bad guy and everything, but, and I know there hasn't been crashes, but what happens when there is one? I mean, it would have been great had they been able to, before they put that garage up on the police department, to just kind of shoot right on through over here to Division. That would have been great. That would have eliminated half the problem, but I'm sure that would have never blown it. No, we got to go through Hawthorne and Western like that. I mean,
I'll bring this up again for next month as such in a report in regard to what I found out and give you an update, okay, folks?
trying to be the hard nose or anything.
We have a question, and so we'll get some answers and see if we can do something else in regard to that particular area. Committee members, any question in regard to the subject matter?
I do live right around the corner.
That last one, yes.
Yes, and I do think attention needs to be drawn to the stop sign for sure. Just driving with my friends or family that are not from the area, and if we ever do go that way, I've had multiple people while I was a passenger in the car, they've just gone straight through stop sign. I don't know how it's missed so often.
And there's no branches in front of it?
No, but there is something at that intersection is overlooked quite often because I've had multiple friends and family just go straight through it, and then I'm like, hey, there was a stop sign. And they're like, I didn't even see it. So I don't know why people aren't seeing it. But if you could mention that to Public Works and see if they can get
I'll see what,
definitely the lines. There's no reason that the lines shouldn't be painted there. I had no idea that the lines weren't there.
They put stuff down in the summer. And
Yeah,
usually they get it every fall for the school and everything. but
that should be done. I mean, that should have been done and that should be done immediately.
since
those are the double white lines that they put down.
it's further back stopping, if you see those on.
Yeah.
But-
And I'm not quite sure what the answer is. Maybe Public Works would know how to draw attention to that stop sign.
Anyhow, we'll do some reporting in regard to that. Chief, you?
Yeah. I don't think anybody's intentionally running the stop sign right by the police station.
Well, a couple of years back, there was a lady constantly, just like a daily thing, whatever she. So, that lady goes through, I said it's, like I said, it's more east to west than coming into the
Mhm.
places, I mean, like I said, it's going west, they just go right around up on Juniper, not even a slow down. There's
Yeah.
nothing about that, and then when they're coming down and turning right, to go up to I can say, I mean, it's like a no stop, but it's, if there could be a little dangerous
Hopefully
Speed.
Public Works will have some sort of answer for you.
speed board or something, just speed up.
Anything else? Chief, please.
Just quickly, I think some jurisdictions have had success with the stop signs that are outlined with the flashing lights in cases where that intersection is unintentionally disregarded, as opposed to some are intentionally just disregarded. I don't think that's the case on that particular stretch.
So
So
again, I'll leave it up to Scott to come up with ideas, although what you mentioned and what we're talking about right now would be appropriate. I know they use it up on Holy Hill Road, going onto the expressway as an example of such, and there's other communities do the same thing. Very good. All right. Again, in closing, I'll put that on the agenda for next month, the results. New business B, Class B temporary beer license for St. Boniface Congregation for the fish fry, Lent fish fry, February 24th, March 3rd, March 10th, and from 4 to 7. Committee, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary beer license for St. Boniface Congregation for February 24th, March 3rd, March 10th, 2023, from 4 to 7 p.m.
I'll second.
Any other further comments, please? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. At this time with new business, we'll have the police department give the report, which was handed out to us in regard to that. Please, Chief.
So if you look at the budget items that are labeled 2017 through 2020, those are the reports that used to come to public safety every month. And those are fairly comprehensive reports for the overtime for both police and fire department. You can see with ours going through 2020, they're all pretty consistent. There's really no outliers. We stayed within the budget. 2018, that 74,000. December was not included in that report, so it's going to be closer to the other ones. 2020, I was not able to figure out why that one is such a, I guess that one is an outlier at 57,000, but we stayed within our budget those years. If you look at 2021, you can see those numbers jumped up pretty dramatically, and you're going to see the same thing for 2022. What I can tell you is that since 2020, off and on, we've been down 7 officers. Since 2018, we've sent 6 officers to the police academy. And as you know, if we have to hire someone and send them to the police academy, it's close to 1 year before that officer will be taking solo calls. After the police academy, they go through almost 6 months of field training. So it's a long process. We'll have another opening coming up that we'll probably end up needing to send someone to the police academy, and that's just becoming more typical. The lateral transfer has helped that, but we're still seeing that we need to send people through the academy. Just a change in years past, the majority of officers took overtime to comp, and that's flipped. Our newer officers are almost notoriously taking all their overtime to pay, which has impacted our budget significantly. We don't have a lot of, if an officer goes down, or an officer's on sick leave, FMLA, if they're on training, we don't have additional bodies. We're backfilling with overtime pretty regularly, and that's just been reflected in those budget numbers.
Committee members, your thoughts in regard to what I'm thinking about, because you just got this report and you haven't had a chance to look at it as such. Should we put this again on the budget, or should we do an agenda for next month, please?
Chief Delane's not here either to discuss his overtime, so.
Right, but we won't have that ahead of time. Also, if I can get that from him ahead of time before we have our meeting, that people can look at it, that would be fine.
And those reports will show the fire department overtime as well.
It does.
The
right now?
2017 through
I'm sorry, because
2020.
I guess that's the reason why I'm asking, because we haven't had a chance to go through this. Why don't we just put this again next month? But go ahead, your thoughts, Phil.
So, just based on some rough math, we're spending $51.90 per hour for overtime. That calculation doesn't seem right to me. Are we missing some numbers here? Like 2022.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think of
Pretty inexpensive.
our newer officers without having their wages right in front of me.
Do you have dispatch in this report, or is it purely police?
This will just be sworn.
So I guess, and
But-
I'm not saying they're wrong. Certainly, I want to be very clear. I would just ask that, we confirm some of these numbers.
Okay.
Just the hours, and the cost. Just, please, I'm just asking that they're right. That's,
Okay. And I'm trying to think of the starting wage for our officers, but I think it is $30 an hour.
and if all the new guys are picking up the time, then,
And it's going to be a lot of our newer officers that
okay.
but I will certainly look at that before the next meeting.
And then the other thing that kind of struck me immediately is we're spending 364 hours per month on overtime, which breaks down to about 10 to 12 hours per day, depending on how many days in the month.
And especially for 21 and 22, just because of the shortages that we had, there's months where we're backfilling at least a shift per day.
Okay.
And Chief, do you anticipate trend for 2023? Same.
I think we can anticipate up to 3 retirements. And other than that, it's getting tough to anticipate. The law enforcement world is getting very cutthroat with the lateral transfers. Other agencies are making it attractive to go to other agencies. So for me to anticipate, it just seems generally, and this is more of a gut feeling, like when someone gets 5 years on, they're much more vested. They're losing a lot in seniority to go somewhere else. Before that, I'm concerned like I've never been before. Retention, and it's costing us a ton of money to get these officers up to the point where they're working solo patrol,
Even the lateral?
even with lateral.
Really?
I know one of the police officers with the K-9 is Darren. Who is the other one?
Officer Justin Pesh is now a sergeant on third shift.
Okay. So I do see a trend, which looks like 2 officers constantly having the majority of the overtime, at least for 2019 and 2020. Looks like Officer Black, and then I'm gonna butcher his name,
Von Berge.
yeah.
So with Darren as a K-9 officer, there's a lot of training associated with having the K-9 unit. Officer Block their overtime is based off of their contract. So he's a senior officer. He's one of the senior officers on the department, and he's senior on second shift. So he would get first crack at all overtime, and he takes a lot of overtime.
Yeah, he definitely takes the most overtime on the whole entire
Yeah.
police station. And that's, I guess for 2020, it looks like the total overtime was 57,000. That seems low compared to all the other years. Is there a reason why?
I would really need to look at that again. That one strikes me as
Yeah.
a hard one to explain.
I know, I was, because you said 2000, since 2020, you've been running
And-
short staff.
And 2020, you know, I think with COVID, there was just a lot of things that we weren't doing that we typically did in other years, events that would have cost us a lot of overtime that weren't happening, so that would explain some of it.
Yeah, you guys weren't, yeah, you guys, I know that,
Programs.
clocking for speeding and things like that, you guys weren't doing as much of that and traffic
Right.
was way down because people
Yes.
weren't commuting. Yeah, that makes sense. How did I forget about COVID?
We're all blocking it. That's what.
I could think of a reason why.
What is the time off hours column, please?
Where do you see that, Phil?
It's on the report. So 2020 Police Department,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
it lays out the officers and then right before the vertical separation line is the column time off hours.
Oh, yeah, I see that at the top.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I would need to check on that. This is, we haven't seen this report in a while, so I'll have to go back and try to make sense of those, what that is. Julie, I don't know if that rings a bell for you.
These are just examples of any other questions that this committee can see, and then the chief can research these and we'll go through these and get answers
Are
for
all the
next month.
officers 1.0s? And do we define 1.0 as 2080 hours
All officers are, all sworn positions are.
or 1.0s?
Yes.
And it's 2080 for 1.0?
Yep.
Anything else? Here again, this is to summarize, basically speaking, what we would end up doing next month, Chief. These questions that were posed to you this evening, you can kind of do some research and then come back with answers for next month. And then if any committee members going through these see something else, bring it to my attention, I'll bring it to the chiefs.
Okay, would it be, if I did have other questions, Chief Snow, is it okay if I just email them to you as they come up?
Directly,
Is that okay? I'm sorry. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Good. All right. That concludes the agenda for this evening. As such, the next public safety meeting will be December 6th at 6 p.m. in this room also. Otherwise, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.